Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to another edition of Share Your Journey Live. So thanks everybody for tuning in here live in our Facebook group, From Daydreams to Destinations. And as many of you know, I do try to do this series almost every week, every Wednesday if I'm not late. You guys know me. I really do try to honor every kind of journey, even though this is a Facebook group that's centered around travel. I do believe that in many ways that's what travel is about. It's not about the places we go, but the paths that lead us there. So the Share Your Journey is a series that is all about you, the members of this Facebook group, your life and your journey. And today I have a pleasure of speaking with Vicki. Is it Agner? Agner. Thank you, Vicki.
Yeah.
And I believe that the path that she has traveled just may inspire someone else to take their first step, and together we can help those turn their dreams into destinations. So Vicki, thank you so much for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. So much fun to meet you and connect over here.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm excited to have you today because the weather's starting to break, and we've all been cooped up over this winter season. I think a lot more snow than a lot of people have anticipated. So for those of our members in our group that don't know you, can you share with our group what you do right now? What do you do?
What I do right now? Well, I wear about 50 different hats. I kind of like it that way.
Okay.
But I have a fitness company for seniors, and we teach all over Arizona and New Mexico virtually. I have about 50 instructors that work for me, and we also have a couple of specialty programs that we do for dementia and Parkinson's patients and caregivers. That's kind of my new baby. I created this system about a year ago. And we also are an advocate for living better for longer and encouraging women especially to stay active, educated, and exploring life, and we do that through adventure travels.
Okay.
So I lead cruises and land trips internationally. We have a vision boarding, a Dare to Dream Big, kind of reimagining your life workshop coming up in Sedona in April. So my goal is just to help us get the most out of our life, to feel better. We provide incredible insights in our community. We talk about everything that has to do with living better, living longer, and being real about life and those the journey that we're on, the challenges we face, how we get through it, the tools that we use to do that, and how to overcome crippling circumstances in our life.
Well, see, I know everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
Really, everything happens for a reason. So it is certainly a pleasure to speak with you today. Can you describe for us, and you do wear many, many, many hats, but can you tell us what life looks like for you right now? Like what part of your work that brings you the most amount of joy?
Oh, wow.
Because I see the smile when you described everything, so I'm like, gosh, it's going to be a hard question for her because it looks like she likes everything. But
I do. I love everything. I've never been one just to say, to do one track. It's like I want it all. I want to do it all. I want to feel it all. But the biggest joy for me right now is honestly working with my Parkinson's and dementia patients and watching the changes that happen to them. So my fitness system is a little bit different than most. I base it off what I call the 4 pillars of health: mental, emotional, physical, and energetic. So we do things that target and open up all of those pathways. We are not just a body, we live in a body. And if we are moving our body and we are not affecting all of those pillars of health, we're doing an injustice to ourselves. Because we all know that true health comes from the inside. So if we're not dealing with our emotions, our energy levels, and our brain, and getting those functioning and open up to receive the benefits from the physical movement we do, we're not hitting the mark. So the programs that I created for my dementia and Parkinson's, dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's patients and caregivers do exactly that. First of all, we come into class and we do things to relieve stress and anxiety by putting us into the rest and restore nervous system. We pull right brain, left brain together and build new neural pathways in the brain. We open up the energetic pathways, and we move physically in a way that's going to open up all of the joints so that there's better balance and stability. Muscular strength is improved, cardiovascular and respiratory strength are improved. So it's a very holistic program. And I, as the facilitator and creator of the program, get to watch the incredible changes that happen in my people. And it is so heartwarming and so over the top. We had a little man that just passed away that had been coming to our dementia classes for about 6 months. And when he first started coming in, he could barely move with a walker, and he could hardly do any of the patterns. And over the last 6 months, he really progressed. And about a week ago, he fell down, and his wife took him to the hospital. And he was there for a couple of weeks. They thought maybe he had a brain bleed, but he did not. But through him being in the hospital, the doctors saw him getting agitated and they put him on all kinds of medications that really kind of wiped him out. But he was in a semi-conscious state, and his wife called me the other day and she goes, I want to tell you what happened. She said, my daughter was there with my husband, and he started laughing. Now, a couple of the things we do in class to take us out of fight or flight nervous system and drop us into the rest and restore. I call it the peace out nervous system. If we smile, if we laugh, if we clap, it tells the brain that we're happy. And when we do that, it takes us directly out of the sympathetic fight or flight nervous system and puts us in the parasympathetic rest and restore nervous system by releasing all of those feel-good hormones. So one of the very first things we do in class every day is we take a deep breath in, we raise our hands above our head, we smile, and we bust out laughing. And we clap. Okay? So the daughter is in the hospital, and the mom comes in and she goes, I don't know, but he's just dreaming and he's laughing out loud. He's going, ha, 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 ha.
Wow.
And so Anne goes, well, that's interesting. So she said she sat there and watched him, and he would mumble a little bit, and then he would take a deep breath in, and he would laugh and clap his hands. Because he knew on some level that that would change his emotional state and pull him out of it. So that to me was just like, oh my gosh, it just made my day. It was one of the most amazing stories I've ever heard. It's like, oh my goodness, look at it, it's really working, it's going into the subconscious. So working with them, I really kind of the most heartwarming place I'm in right now. And then second to that would be to watch people's lives change through travel, because travel is always transformational.
Yes, it is.
Right? We cannot pack a suitcase and go out the door without coming back a different person. And that's different on every way, but to watch somebody touch what's happening inside when they're traveling, or even months afterwards, because so often when we get home from a trip, we really have time to sit back and reflect on it and go, oh my goodness, how incredible was that? So yeah, those are kind of my things. And just, you know, my whole reason for starting my business, Alive, Fit, and Free, was to help people actually become alive, fit, and free, to be able to love themselves for who they were, to get rid of the baggage and the belief systems that didn't work for us anymore, that maybe never worked for us, but we felt we had to carry. Especially as middle-aged women or boomers, you know, we were not raised to talk about our feelings. It was like, you know, sit still, look pretty on the outside, and we never knew that we could own that stuff, and we kept it inside. So to get to a point where we are able to, you know, finally unpack that, it's so stinking freeing.
It is.
Right? And actually to embrace yourself and celebrate who you are, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And to be okay with that, there comes such a tremendous freedom. And then when we do that, it allows us to go, who am I really? And what's my passion? What am I passionate about? And how can I share that with the world? And so that was really the basis of why I started this company, and that all happened through life experiences.
Right.
So yeah.
That is amazing, and that is a heartfelt moment where you can see a patient that you've worked with, and they're actually doing those exercises, because it becomes such a habit, and knowing the value in that. And as you were talking about laughing, I was thinking the other night I had watched something, and I laughed so hard I was crying, and I haven't laughed like that in a very, 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 very long time. And I couldn't stop. I mean, every time I wiped a tear and said, okay, let me get myself together, then I would just think about it, and I would laugh again. And I really do think that my body really needed that laughter. And I did feel a lot lighter, just in general, lighter from laughing. Obviously, I wasn't doing it in a therapeutic sense, but, just listening to you and then thinking about the moment, I can see that, I mean, I felt lighter after the laugh, and it just seemed like it carried on the rest of the evening. Everything just seemed like it was just so much, there was just something funny, I picked up before, and it was funny. I said, boy, when they say laughter is contagious, it
really is,
certainly
and
is.
it's always medicine. And it's always therapeutic, because it starts that release of the feel-good hormones. And they'll keep releasing for 45 minutes to an hour afterwards. So there's actually, scientific data on, of what laughter does to a person. And to me, that's super cool. I think it just, we know the validity of something without having to have data on it. But there are so many things nowadays that if it has, quote, hard data behind it, it really makes it real. We know it's real without the data, but that just kind of proves the point, So, super cool.
Is neat, because, and I think I was still flowing from that, because I'm sure you probably saw it in the Facebook group. I put up a joke. It was a simple, I don't know what the joke is, because I'm horrible at remembering them. But it was so funny, and I put it up, and my daughter said, "Did you just put that joke up?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "What's you forgot the punchline, Mom?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" So I had to go back in and put the punchline in, and then she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm dying laughing." So I was like, "Oh yeah," because it was like, gosh, I gotta. Everybody else has a laugh too, So.
That's right. Everybody else has a laugh too.
Yes.
And that's it, just spreading that joy and getting people to not take life so seriously. I mean, we live in a world that is full of stress and seriousness all the time. And if we could just lighten it up and be silly, get somebody to smile, make a funny face, whatever it might be, and just go, it's too short to be serious all the time. Life is just too short.
It is. But let's go back a bit, Vicki, because can you tell us about the before you found your Parkinson patients, and what has brought you so much joy, and before you found your group travel, helping people see the value in travel being so transformative? Can you tell us what life looked like for you back then, before that?
Yeah. Well, I'll go back a ways, because my story, I mean, we all have a story, right? But I got into a natural health journey back in the 70s. I was hippie, lived off the land, and was diagnosed with cervical cancer at the age of 25. And I chose at that time to heal myself with alternative methods. And, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have a Sprouts or a Whole Foods on every corner. And alternative methods were literally underground. People that were advocates and promoting, natural lifestyle and using alternative methods to get well were literally thrown in prison and worse. So you had to really search for them, and luckily I had a friend that was into natural healing, and I got well. But at the same time that I got well, I got really passionate about sharing that information with other people. I got mad that people that had cancer were told, well, there's nothing I can do for you, go home and die, and it just pissed me off. So I became very passionate about natural healing and what the body could do, and I was kind of just starting to learn about that, just starting to learn that, we had to be careful about what we thought and our mindset and all of those things, but I was just dabbling in that end of it. I knew all the right foods to eat. I was a fitness person. And so I just started studying and gathering as much information as I could and getting degrees so that I had some sort of credibility to talk to people. Fast forward, met my husband, got married, we had 6 babies at home naturally, and he passed away in 2001 from a heart attack at the age of 54.
Oh my goodness, I'm sorry.
We were in the middle of building our own home. We were in, of all places, and a couple of California kids living in the deep south, and our children were aged 3 to 18 at that point. And because we were in the middle of building the house, my oldest son, who was then 16, and I would go and work on the house for like 16 hours a day. That was our way of grieving, was to just go work until we would just crash. And hence, I ran from the grief for about 5 years. I didn't have time to stop and grieve. I was building the house. I had 6 kids to raise, and I needed to support us. And at that point, I hit a wall, and I knew I needed help because I had stuffed all of that grief. And I found this incredible self-development school. It was faith-based, and it was a live-learn situation. So my 2 younger children and I went, and every week you had a new speaker that came in, and they were the most incredible speakers I've ever heard. Every week you would go, oh my gosh, that's the best speaker I ever heard. How can you get any better than that? And then the next week somebody else would come in. It was just like this spectacular thing, but it was so healing. Not only was I able to work through the grief of losing my husband, but I had never accepted myself my whole life. I never fit into a box. I always thought there was something wrong with me. I was fidgety, I flitted around, I would dive into things. I just wasn't like everybody else, and I always felt ashamed of that. But for the first time in my life, I really was able to accept the person that I am, really embrace me for who I was. And I remember saying to myself, oh my gosh, so it's okay that I can't sit still.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's okay that I can flit around and I do things like this. I'm okay.
Right.
And and it was just like, oh my gosh, I've got to tell other people that they're okay. And so I was able to let go of all of that baggage, start unpacking all of that baggage that I had carried around forever, and the grief of losing him. And so I came away from that experience going, I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm just supposed to help people get healthy and well. And it was kind of like through his death, I had the missing piece. Before that, I knew all the right foods and supplements and exercises that someone could do to stay healthy. But if we're not okay on the inside, we're never going to be okay. So it was like, okay, what am I going to do? I know what I'm supposed to do, but what's that look like? I had no idea. So I came back to Arizona, got a job at Starbucks, and it was wonderful. I could drink good coffee, I could talk to people all day, and then I got back into the health profession, started working with a corporate insurance company, and one of my main clients was the Wallapai tribe in northern Arizona, and I worked as their health coach for about 10 years. Fabulous. And so in this health coaching job, I could just drive all over and talk to people all day long, tell them how to get healthy and well, and it was wonderful. And at the same time, I started my little website called Alive, Fit, and Free, and I didn't really go into this to create a business. I just was doing what I was supposed to do because I just wanted people to be happy and healthy. And so I would write articles and I'd put them up on my little website, and I'd talk to clients. And I had gone to California for a couple of years, came back, and had an opportunity to teach line dance at a senior living facility. And I thought, well, this would be fun. So I went and taught a line dance class, and pretty soon one class turned into 5 classes. And I loved these people, and so I just made flyers, and I would drive by. Every time I would drive by a senior assisted living facility, I'd stop and hand out a flyer. Pretty soon I had 20 classes a week.
Wow.
I thought, oh, this is really fun. And so then I started putting courses together based off of my studies on the 4 pillars of health. And I started creating some exercise systems and training instructors that I was hiring. And my daughter came on. She lived internationally, and we wanted to go virtual with the company. And like I said, up to this point, I knew it was kind of a company. I mean, I was an LLC, but I wasn't a businesswoman. I had no idea what I was doing. I was just creating classes and having fun, and teaching people to be healthy and happy. And my daughter was kind of the tech genius brains behind the company. She came on in 2019 and really put all of our back-end systems and all our business pieces together that we really needed to have. And COVID hit, so we just went virtual. 1 week we were on the ground teaching classes, and the next week we were wading our way through getting all of our communities on the computer through Zoom. So we started again hiring a team of instructors. We worked with international travel guides around the world. We did anything and everything we could think of to keep our seniors active. So after COVID, we flipped the switch again and went back on site and really started growing. We started working with some community centers across Arizona, New Mexico, and 55 plus HOA community centers, senior living communities, and we started working virtually as well, or continued to work virtually, and got busier and busier until we built up a team of I had about 50 instructors that work for me. I had a lady that's my right hand that manages all my instructors and scheduling, and a bookkeeper, and a girl that sends out emails and events for us, and that's pretty much who we are at this point.
Wow.
So we've had to really grow. I was telling somebody, I've had to grow into being the business grew. Pretty much hands-on, feet on the ground. What do we need to do to make this happen? What do we need to do to make that happen? But also along the way with all of this, I started leading dance and fitness cruises with a friend of mine that was also a dance teacher. So we started taking groups of people on dance and fitness cruises and just having a blast. And that's kind of how I got into the whole travel thing with wellness retreats and international cruises and on land travel. I love to travel, so any place I go, I'm always looking for, oh man, this would be a great place to bring a group of people.
Right.
So my daughter lives in Rio, so we've had a Rio trip on the back burner for a couple of years now. So I'm getting ready to head down there on Friday for a couple of weeks. But yeah, so that's kind of what my life looks like.
Wow.
Of course, I like to spend a lot of time with my grandkids and my children. Most of my children live here now, except my daughter that's in Brazil. But yes, my life is rich. It's cool.
It's just amazing how something turned that you were just doing because you just enjoyed it ended up turning into what you're doing now and having instructors and schedules and classes, and now as far as trying to coordinate their schedules. So that's just amazing. You just never know.
You just never know, but if you do what and I guess for me, I'm so thankful because I just started doing what I was passionate about. I had no idea what that looked like. Mm-hmm. And then, if we flow with where, I don't know, you could say God or the universe or life.
Right.
If we flow with what opens up and where it takes us, it is such an incredible journey. Even when we have to go through those hard circumstances, even when we go through the death of a spouse or cancer or almost losing your life, even when we go through those hard things, there's a purpose for that and there's a reason for that. everything we go through is not just for us, it's for the benefit of those people we come in contact with.
Mm-hmm.
That we can share, here, let me give you my hand. I've been through that. I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and offer them that love and support and encouragement that they need to stand on their 2 feet and discover what they're passionate about, so that they can then pass that on, share that with the world.
Yes.
I mean, isn't that what we're here for?
We're here for.
Right?
Exactly. And Vicki, I couldn't say it any better. It's amazing when you were speaking about the individuals that you were holding space for, how you were holding space for them, but at the same time, you were transformed. And saying,
absolutely.
like, oh, you know what? I'm okay. And so, you know, like I say the same sentiment. Isn't that what we're here for? You know, it's like one hand hold the other hand, and you know, and I don't know. It's just amazing to me.
Yeah.
You know, when you look at it, and the more and more I speak to individuals and do this weekly, and listen to others people's journeys, it's like, yeah, this is what life is supposed to be about, you know.
Exactly.
Helping,
sharing those journeys with each other, and being able to be real.
Yeah.
I find that if we can be real about something, it gives that other person the space to open up and be real too. Because so often, if we're afraid to share maybe what's going on inside of us, so what's somebody going to think about that?
Yeah.
But if somebody else is capable or willing to say, oh my gosh, I had a horrible day, I felt like this, I felt like that, and you know, and then the other person can think to themselves, I'm not the only one that feels that way.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not the only one that feels that way. It gives them permission to be real as well. And once we let go of those things that we try and hide, that thing has no power over us anymore, right? If we keep it hidden, it kind of grows and gets bigger. But if we can say it out loud, we realize, well, that was no big deal after all.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
That is true. That is true. But before we wrap up, I want, I know you touched on it a little bit, but I want you to share with the rest of the members in the group about, because your trip is getting ready to come up, isn't it?
My trip is getting ready to come up.
So, let's share with everybody. I know you're. So yes, Vicki will be putting it in the comments underneath the broadcast. And I know she did put a post up, but I wanted it to be under this so everybody knew where to find her. But share with us more about that event that's coming up that you're hosting.
Okay, so I've got a 4-day Sedona retreat, and I called it Refresh, Renew, and Reimagine. And so it's an intimate women's retreat. We only have 20 spaces available, and it's about just doing that, coming together with a group of women and these figuring out, discovering, or even remembering who you really are on the inside. Life gets in the way. Maybe we raised kids and we've been married for 50 years, or maybe our marriage fell apart. Whatever those circumstances are, they have brought us to a point in our life where all of a sudden, but we're not sure what that looks like. And we're kind of discontent, which is a really good thing. Discontent is good because that forces us to look at doing something different. But to come together as women, share who we are, share those common things that we all go through, and then to figure out what it is we want to bring into our lives. And we'll be creating vision boards or vision cards. We'll be hiking in the hills. We have a hot tub and a swimming pool. We're going to be doing a sound healing at nighttime, taking affirmations home, and just really sharing as a group of women. And I have another special thing that we're going to do at the event. My friend Tabitha does color coding for women, and she's going to come and do everybody's colors at the end so that we can get passionate about the way we look and dress in the right colors. And we're just going to pamper ourselves and have a girls' weekend.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
And walk away with a new group of friends that can support and encourage us, and with a direction for our lives.
Gosh, that sounds amazing. It really does. And everybody knows Sedona's my new favorite place.
Okay.
But I don't know. I have to look at my schedule and find out where I'm going to be. But that certainly caught my eye when I saw Sedona on there.
Lovely.
But that really sounds like an amazing event. So, yes, Vicki will be putting the information under this. When we get off the call, and she'll be able to put it up. So if anybody wants to participate or get in more information, she'll have all of her contact information underneath there.
Absolutely.
But Vicki, before we wrap up, I try to ask everyone this because, of course, this is always something that is, I think everybody has a different type of advice or something that they could offer, but because there are individuals out there that are still struggling, that I don't know whether they are feeling lost or they just don't know where to begin, because we all are on a journey, and then sometimes you just get stuck. And you mentioned something about discomfort, and I know my other guest had also alluded to, I don't know if it's being lost or if it's just being comfortable. And so you feel stuck in life. I was like, I just can't get out of my rut. And what could you say to that individuals that's like, I just feel like I have no momentum, or I do feel stuck? What could you say to them that might maybe encourage them to go ahead and take that first step out of comfortability?
Yeah. So here's the thing. So I have a Facebook group, and we just did what's called a Dare to Dream Big Challenge. And it was just, and it's still up there. Anybody can go in and pull the information off of the Facebook group. But it was, sometimes we are in a place where we're not happy. We are discontent. But the fear of doing something different is a bigger challenge to us than living a life that's unfulfilled, right? So my suggestion is, if going on a trip, or going, divorcing your husband, or going to live in a new place, whatever it might be, those are big things. But how about this? How about when you drive to the grocery store, you take a different route? Or how about, instead of going to the Fry's that's in your neighborhood, you go to the Fry's that's 2 miles away? Or how about you pick a new restaurant to go to this week? Or how about, if you're a walker, go on a different block in your neighborhood? All of those are non-threatening ways to step the normal, what we call the normal. Because when we can start stepping into an unfamiliar place, it gives us the courage and the confidence to take bigger steps. That's why a lot of times, in order to make changes, it's easier to do them when we go to where we go on a trip, right? We think we're going for fun, maybe, but it's also transforming us and helping us to gain that courage and that confidence to do something different. So when we do a little thing, it takes us into a baby step to move us closer to maybe where we want to be. And we might not even know what that looks like, where we want to be. And that's okay, too. That comes farther down the road. And I always say, what can I do with what I have and where I'm at today to move towards where I want to be? And like I said, we might not even know where that is that we want to be, but if we just go, I'm going to start doing something different every day to gain that self-confidence that I need. And you know what? Give yourself a big hug and celebrate the person you are, even thinking about doing something different. And let yourself know that you love yourself, and you care about yourself, and you're there to support yourself, because we don't often do that as women.
No. You're right. You're right about that. Well, thank you so much for those golden nuggets, Vicki. I greatly appreciate that. And thank you, everyone, for joining us this Wednesday afternoon. Vicki, hold on while I sign out. I'm going to talk to you for a second.
Okay.
But for those of you that joined us kind of late, you can always just hit rewind and listen. Lots of gold nuggets from Miss Vicki and her retreat. Well, I want to call it a retreat, getaway, escape to Sedona. She will drop all of her contact information underneath this live share. And for those of you that might want to share your journey, certainly reach out. I'd love to have you on the show so you can share what you're passionate about and maybe help someone else in the process. All right, you all, that's it for me. I will see you all. I know I didn't do Vacation Makeover last week, but I will get around to it. It's been kind of crazy on this side of town. But God bless you all. Take care, and I'll speak to you all soon.